Today we're going to be talking about traveling in cabin on an airline with your pet. If you haven't done it before, after this video, you will be an expert.
Okay, the first thing I want to talk to you about is the carrier itself. Now, I have tried different bags, and I know there's one out there that rolls around on 4 wheels. It's supposed to be airline approved, and a lot of people are buying it, and I found that particular bag to be horrid. And the reason I did is because when I would be going quickly from one gate to another, I found that bag to be cumbersome. If you went any faster than a slow walk and the dog shifted their weight, it would just flip over and all of a sudden you've got dead weight behind you, and you look back and your dog is upside down being dragged along the floor. And that happened to me more than once. I did not like it, and if you want to carry it, I found it difficult to carry as well. I just did not like that particular brand. A rectangle shaped carrier on 4 wheels. That was just not for me. After trial and error, this is the one that I highly recommend, and it's called a snoozer. I found mine on Amazon, and it's about, I'd say $100, $120, something like that. I haven't looked it up in a while. But this is absolutely wonderful. It has mesh so that your dog, not only on the front, but it has it on both sides so your dog can see what's going on and not be worried that you've left them. It also has a leash on the inside, a tie down on the inside that you can put on your dog's collar to keep them from jumping out if you have it open for any reason. And I frequently go through the airport with the carrier open like this. And Gracie's head is sticking out right here. That way she doesn't feel confined. I can see her, I can reach down and pat her and assure her if I need to. And she is tied in so that there's not a problem with that. She's not going to jump out. The other thing I like about it is it pulls just like a pull bag, just like the kind that you use all the time in the airport. And it extends to the right height for most people. It also has a backpack part of it that you can pull it out. Let's see if I can get it out for you. I haven't used this part. It has a way to make it a backpack, so you would take this down and put it on your back. And that's an easy way for somebody that doesn't have back problems. I do, so that's why I don't do that. But my husband could if we wanted to. If he was with me, that's probably how he would do it. That's an option. The other thing I like about it is it has some pretty good sized pockets on both sides. And all the supplies that I need, I can fit in both of these pockets. Another thing I like about this particular bag is that if you are boarding an airplane, maybe it's a different model than you're used to boarding, or it's a newer model, and the seats in front of you, which is where your dog is going to ride, under the seat in front of you in the cabin, sometimes they're built a little lower to the floor or have metal bars that come down a little bit lower, where my bag just wouldn't go under the seat because the height of it and the lowness of that bar prevented it. So you just pull this tab, it's a Velcro tab, you just pull it and pull this metal out, and then it sinks better. It's really made for travel. Another thing that I want to make sure I show you, because it's one of the best things I've found in any bag, is that if your bag is having trouble going in by pushing this part in first, then no worries. You can always turn it around and push this part in first. And the reason that's important is because you can still open this area right here and give your dog some, just allow them to get extra air from the vents. Maybe you want to pet them and reassure them, hand them a little treat. So these are the reasons that I bought this particular bag.
Oh, you're so cute. Like that.
Gracie wanted to help demonstrate what goes in her bag. She's being very cute and helpful. So these are the things that you're going to want to keep continually in your bag. Just for safety's sake, I put a printout of all the vaccinations that Gracie has had, including when she's due for anything that's coming up. That way it keeps me on track with their vaccinations, but it also helps them see that she is well vaccinated and everything has happened as it should. The other thing is I bring a comb just to tidy her up if I need to. I bring an extended leash, the kind that goes out on its own like this, and on it I have tied, now mine is old, you can see I've got zip ties on it to keep it straight. It's old, but I use it for traveling because it's a wonderful thing to have, especially this extension part, because you can reel her in, or if she's going potty at one of the relief stations, you can let her go out longer than the 6 feet that a normal leash would give you. And then I keep the little bags on it to pick up dog waste. I also have always on hand an extra roll of these just in case I need them. Wipes, makeup remover wipes, and I use these because they're just easier and I think maybe even a little cheaper than the diaper wipes. I also use a collapsible bowl. This one's for water, and another collapsible one for food if it's going to be a long trip and she's going to need to eat. Typically I feed her very early the morning of the trip. I don't feed her again until after the trip. That way she doesn't have any business that she needs to do on the plane. But as soon as we get there, I have the equipment I need to make sure she's taken care of. I also bring any medication that she needs and keep it in the bag with us. And on my leash, I wanted to bring this up, I have what's called a gentle leader. Now I like this because it fits on her nose and around her neck, and it keeps her from pulling in the airport, and she's much more controlled that way. She's older and she doesn't need a lot of controlling. This is a great thing to have with you, and I'll show you how it's put on. Gracie won't mind here. Here we go. So there's a loop that comes up in the middle, and you just put it over their nose, and then you put the leash around their head like that. And the tug and pull, when she's pulling on the leash, this pulls back, and it's a gentle way to remind her she is on a leash and she doesn't need to pull. And it keeps her very controlled. It's just a nice thing to have in the airport. So these are the things that we always have on hand. One extra thing I want to remind you about is if you're worried that your dog might get sick, motion sickness, or if you think they might, I don't know, have an accident, you might want to take one potty pad with you. I don't have any with me right now, but that is something I've seen people do as well.
Okay, Gracie, you did a good job. Thank you.
If your dog's not used to riding in a carrier, you do want to get your dog used to that carrier by just putting them in it and taking them for a short walk. Make it fun. Give them treats that they're sitting there nicely. You saw how nicely Gracie sat there. She's used to it. It just doesn't bother her anymore. And you need to get your dog used to it. Just, a couple of times. I think when I first put her in a carrier, I walked her around the house a bit and then gave her a treat for being so good. A couple of times of that, she was more than happy to be good in her carrier. Now I want to talk to all of you about what you need to do before you go.
I'm going to cover this in 4 steps, everything you need to know, and I'm going to follow it with a checklist that you can go on my website and download. You also want to list your dog when you're making your ticket reservations, and these days on various airlines it can run anywhere from $100 to $150. Now that's not for the entire trip unless you're on nonstop. That's per leg. So if you're making stops along the way, you pay again. The other thing that I find helpful is to reserve a window seat and also check all your bags and everything that's cumbersome when you get to the airport, because having a dog with you is almost like having a baby. You want to be mindful that they're there and they're not getting stepped on, crushed on the trains in the airports, bothered by people, anything like that. So I want both hands and all attention being paid to Gracie as we're traveling through the airport, getting on the airplane, and all of that. Okay, let's talk about the third point, which is the security checkpoint. I'm a frequent traveler, so it made sense for me to get a global traveler card. I put in an application, and in about a month, you get it. So to get that, you need a passport. So it may be applicable for you and it may not. If you're just planning on making this one trip with your pet, probably not. But if you travel a lot and you want to start taking your pet, this is a great item to have. And not only have it, but have it with you, so that if there's ever a question, you have that card on your person. That gets you into the pre-check line. And the pre-check line obviously is shorter. And also, people are a little more relaxed because they don't have to take their shoes off and all the things you normally have to do. So typically when I'm traveling, I will have the dog carrier bag and I will have my phone, which I have a strap that it straps across me like a purse. And in that phone, I have my credit card. I have my ticket information, my ticket actually, that I can just scan at the gate. And I have my insurance card in there. So I've got everything I need in that one place. But my hands are free and I'm focused totally on Gracie. So the first thing I do is I put her in my arms. I put the dog carrier on the security belt and it goes through the machine. While that's happening, they will often have you come through the magnetometer, which is that arch that you just walk through. You do not go through a body scan with the dog. She still has her collar on, which has some metal on it, and she has metal tags, both her name tag and my phone number, and her rabies shot tag. I do that on purpose. They don't set the machine off, but if she gets lost, someone's going to know who to call to find her parent. Now let's talk about conveniences that modern-day airports have put in for people with dogs. First off, they have relief areas. They're always marked by a sign, and I'm showing you here what that sign is. What you're looking for is a dog relief area for your dog to go potty, not only in the airport, but inside security, so you don't have to go out and go through that line and all that we just covered again. So, pretty much I see dogs sniffing the grass, looking around like they're not quite sure, and then they eventually go potty if they need to because they smell other dogs. If you have a concern about this, you might want to get your dog used to potty grass at home. Now, I have a potty grass area that my dog uses all the time because we live in a townhome, so it's not a foreign thing to her. But if it's one trip or you're not going to be going that often, I would just suggest making sure they need to go a lot and take them to the potty grass and they'll smell other dogs that have been in there and they'll just do the natural thing. Airports have started putting tables and chairs outside some of the restaurants, and that's fabulous for those of us who have dogs because you're not allowed inside the restaurant with your dog, but you can sit out in another area that's outside of the restaurant facility. Another thing that I want to mention
is oftentimes dogs go to the bathroom when you're least expecting it. That's why you want to have those bags. That may be why you want to have the potty pad with you, or at least some potty pad with you, so that you can soak it up quickly, throw it in a close by trash can, and you're done. If they happen to potty as they're walking down the hallway or something. Also, airports allow dogs on leashes as long as you have good control of your dog. It wears out some energy that they have so that they will be calmer and quieter and sleepier on the airplane. Sometimes passengers are not too excited that you're sitting down beside them with a dog. I've only run into this 2 or 3 times, and I've probably been traveling almost once per month with my dog, and I see people that they just aren't that excited. Usually it's businessmen, or I don't know, it depends. The other day I had a lady that absolutely was going ballistic because she didn't like that I had a dog. She started telling me immediately she was allergic to dogs. And I assured her my dog would not come out of the carrier. She was as hypoallergenic as a dog can get. But I noticed the lady her anxiety wasn't relieved. Maybe she just has problems flying. But she kept looking at the flight attendant. And I was wondering, is she going to try to get me moved? Which I would have done if that was her issue. You know, you run into people like that. But I want to tell you, if you follow these steps that I am sharing with you, that will not be a problem. Every time I go on a flight, every single time, no matter what, the people that are sitting next to me said, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even know you had a dog down there." Or, "Oh, your dog was so well behaved." And that's because I've taken the time to plan and prepare. So that's it for today. I'm glad you're watching. I appreciate everyone that watches my channel. And if you like it, I hope you'll subscribe. And only if you want to be notified every time a new video comes out, tap the bell. If you don't want to be notified and you just want to check back now and then, do not tap the bell. So thank you again, and I will see you next time.